Welcome to Stories with Steve, a podcast on the Central Buna Podcast Network. Every Thursday in 5 minutes or less, we'll lift you up with stories of how God works behind the scenes in our lives. Romans 8:28 tells us that God works all things together for the good of those who are called according to his purpose. Now with an encouraging story, here's Steve.
You know, Christian singer Zach Williams has got a song called Those That Jesus Loved. And it just talks about the outsiders, the backsliders, the up-all-nighters, and all that. And I think about all the people that are out there, the ones that Jesus loved. They were the outcasts, like the lepers. And of course, we know that he reached those people a lot of times that had no religion at all. And, one time I was in Beaumont, off 11th Street, right there in I-10, if you're familiar with that area. Not the nicest area in the world, but I'm sitting in a parking lot. I was a little bit early for work, waiting, and I see this young lady walking, and she's wearing blue jeans. But something caught my eye, and she looked at me and stared at me, and I kind of looked back at her, and she walks up to my vehicle, and I thought maybe she's going to ask for money or whatever. And I'm real careful about giving money, but I thought, well, maybe this girl's hungry and want to talk to her. And she said, "Hey, did you want to talk to me?" And I said, "Well, I thought maybe you needed something. Or are you hungry? Is everything okay?" And she goes, "Well, yeah, maybe a little bit." And I said, "Well, there's a convenience store right here. Maybe we can talk to." But she acted real nervous. She started looking around everywhere. And I wondered what was going on. And so I asked her, "What's your name?" She said, "I'm Candace. And are you here?" "Well, I'm just here for right now, whatever." And so she was sharing all that. And next thing I know, she goes, "Oh, actually, I've got a hotel room over here." And I went, "Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. Nice knowing you." So anyway, I said, "What's your name again?" "Candace." And so I said, "Well, listen, God bless you, Candace." And then I realized I'm kind of naive. I realized she did. But I thought to myself, I wonder how many men even care to know her name. And I thought about also, that was somebody's daughter at one time, whatever happened to her. And, I always wondered about Candace. There's so many young women that get caught in that lifestyle. We look at them on the outside, but always look about what led them. And those are the people that may not walk into church on a Sunday, but they need to be reached. And it's just like the homeless people on the street. We immediately, pass judgment. We see things. We assume they're a drug addict, but we really don't know the whole story. Sometimes we see people on the outside, but life sometimes hits people hard. And I know a guy that's got a ministry in Houston that does like services under a bridge, literally for homeless people, feeds them and does all that. And I just think, we should reach out. So, and doing that to people that need it the most. And also, interesting, I've had an occasion to talk to a couple of Buddhist monks. The first time I was in an airport. I met a Buddhist monk. And of course, he looked like the Dalai Lama. He was all dressed up, whatever. But, it's funny, like you stereotype people. You think they're a certain way. You think they're stoic. And this guy was like funny. This guy was hilarious. We were just talking. He seemed very laid back and all that. And so we had an interesting conversation and about our different beliefs. And also recently in Buna, Texas, of all places, a group of Buddhist monks walked through Buna and stayed at the fire station in Buna. They were on a march for peace to Washington, D.C. And interesting talking to them. The one thing I do admire about they're dedicated. They believe in discipline, meditation. Of course, their beliefs are about reincarnation. They believe in reaching enlightenment or nirvana. Not the rock group, okay? It was a different nirvana. But I thought about, what do all these people have in common? A prostitute, homeless people, Buddhist monk. They're all searching for something, right? They're searching for some kind of fulfillment. And all of them are outsiders. Again, those are the kind of people that wouldn't typically walk inside of a church door on a Sunday morning. But you know what? They all need Jesus, right? And we all need to try to reach those kind of people where they're at. So anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts about that. Remember, you've got a story to tell.